Hello, it's time. We are so excited to be bringing you a super special off the grid podcast today. And it's been spring break for Lindsley and I. And so we decided to do something a little bit different and kind of come to you from where we are. I was at the beach, now I'm back home and sitting outside and doing a little bit of an off the grid podcast. So we're going to get out of our normal environments and bring to you our top 5 things from each pillar that we like to focus on this podcast. So, for those, just as a little refresher, and if you're new to our podcast, we're really trying to help midlife women thrive and thrive through the 5 pillars that we think are just critical to not only making us feel better now, but enhancing our health span and our lifespan for the future. So, those are mindset, movement, sleep and recovery, fueling or nutrition, how we care for ourselves, connection, how we are in the world present, and then beyond, belonging to something bigger. And so we thought it would be a great time to just refresh ourselves on those 5 pillars and kind of each do our top hits of kind of what we're excited about in those areas right now, what we're curious about, where we're playing, where we think they're going. So for me, I'm going to start number 1 with where I always like to start, which is movement. And science changes so rapidly, and we have gone from, oh, women just need to do cardio. We can't strength training. We can't strength train. It's, we'll get bulky, or it's not good for us, or it's not good for us to do high intensity work. And that pendulum has swung so far the other direction to, we must be doing all of this high intensity work and sprint work and be in the weight room, and zone 2 cardio is not beneficial for us. And so I've been thinking a lot about that, especially when I was on vacation this week and I didn't have a lot of my normal equipment around. How do I feel about that? And I love zone 2 cardio. I love my long endurance stuff. And like we like to say is all movement is good movement. And there is movement that is optimal for our bodies. There is movement that is optimal for our mindset and our emotional status. And we can choose to combine some of these to get the biggest bang for our buck. And so I was thinking about that as I was, doing some nice longer runs on the beach and maybe not as high as an intensity, thinking, how can I combine all of these things in the short time periods I have in my day in and day out life? And when I don't want to kind of give up some of that. So we know strength training is important for all people. We have to maintain our muscle mass. We know that doing some high intensity work for women as our metabolisms change through perimenopause and menopause, absolutely important. But that doesn't mean that zone 2 is bad for us by any means. Any movement is good movement. Enjoy your zone 2. Think about, I don't know, do you add 10 push-ups at the end? Do you do some, what my track daughter calls some strides or some accelerations at the end to get your heart rate up a little bit? There's so many little opportunities. And I love that word. I work out with a friend here in Park City sometimes, and he always likes to sprinkle on some opportunities for us during our workouts. And so think about what opportunities you like. Is it doing some jumping jacks, a couple burpees, just anything that can mix up maybe your longer zone 2 run while you can still have the physical, mental, emotional benefits from doing that work, because it is good for our hearts, it is good for our lungs, it is good for our muscular system and our bones. And then add in some things that are even better. And so take that opportunity, find some sprinkles of different intensities and different movements, and enjoy your day. So sleep is critical. And this week I was sleeping in different places. And so I think that, again, what I always come back to is consistency, consistency, consistency. And maybe that makes me boring as I get older, but I know that makes me feel better day in and day out. So really trying to say, I'm going to go to bed and get up about the same amount of time at the same time. And so that this week for on vacation, that meant I got up and actually had a really nice hour or two of drinking my coffee and reading a book outside, looking at nature. It wasn't get up and like necessarily jump into my routine as I would at home, but it was still kind of optimizing my pretty normal sleep cycle and then just enjoying the opportunities that allowed me to really relax at a time of day where nobody else was up. Um, Fueling. Again, I think on vacation this week, I have thought a lot about nourishing my body with grace. I probably ate some things that I normally wouldn't eat and was on a little bit different schedule. But again, just allowing myself to enjoy those foods and enjoy those moments that were associated with those foods instead of overly worrying about it, knowing that I was going to be home in a week, back in my routine, and have a little more control, just to really actually embrace that opportunity to try some new things and experiment a little bit in a relaxed state. So even though I really work to keep my sleep routine consistent, I tend to vary up my movement and my fueling routine when I'm traveling a little bit, and especially when I'm on vacation, and just explore new foods, and enjoy those times and those social interactions around meals, and knowing that I'm going to get back up to my schedule and back on my routine when I get home. Connecting. I think connection is so vital to our happiness. And I forget that sometimes when I'm busy or in my routine at home. And I had the opportunity to sit with some dear friends for most of the week and just really unpack some stuff and laugh and cry and have the opportunity to say yes to to do things when maybe I would have usually said no. And so don't forget that opportunity to connect. Don't forget to try to say yes every once in a while, even when sometimes you're tired or don't want to, because sometimes saying yes, it's not only beneficial for you, it's really impactful for the person that you're saying yes to. And mindset. This is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Something came across one of my social media posts about girls saying sorry in sports. And this, I grew up an athlete as a soccer player. I have two daughters who are athletes, and this has been a problem for as long as I have been involved with sports, since probably I was 4 or 5 years old, is girls apologizing on the field for everything they do, and that leading into lifelong habits. And I still find myself doing this, writing an email saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, this, or this," or "I apologize because of this, and this," and having to really make a conscious effort to not do it. If we are not trying new things, we are not pushing boundaries. And when we try new things and they don't work, it is not failing. It's not failing. It is, I was courageous enough to try, and I was confident enough to evaluate that maybe what I tried wasn't the right time. I didn't get the results I was expecting, but that doesn't mean it was a failure. And so why do we continue to apologize for things? In a way, it's related to us trying to make ourselves smaller instead of taking up our space and saying, yeah, I tried that, it didn't work. And so whether you're a parent, just watch for these behaviors in yourself and the people around you and question them when you see it. Help the next generation break this habit of apologizing for things that we don't need to apologize for. I don't need to say, I'm sorry I didn't put on my makeup today to talk to all of you. You guys don't care. When my daughter makes a bad pass on the field, oh, I'm sorry. Why are you sorry? So anyway, that's kind of one thing I've been thinking a lot about, and that we need to find it in ourselves and pay attention when you write that text or that email, or have that phone conversation. If you go to say, I'm sorry, really, what are you apologizing for? And does it need to be there? I wrote a note the other day apologizing for something. I'm like, why am I apologizing? There's no point in apologizing. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't make a mistake. And then there is a time, if I'm late for something, I actually feel bad about that. I apologize that I'm late. Punctuality is an important value to me. And you know, if I am late to something, okay. If I did something wrong, absolutely, I apologize, but I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to stop apologizing for things that don't require an apology. And I'm really trying to make a conscious effort with my girls to have them stop apologizing for things. I don't hear my husband use that same language. I attend a lot of sporting events right now, and I don't hear boys use that same language. I don't hear them say sorry right and left on the field or on the track or whatever the environment is. And so we need to help the next generation to break these habits. And then the last piece is beyond. our last pillar, is remembering that we belong to something larger. And in that, to take a minute and look for the signs and the symbols of that we are part of something larger that are all around us. So, as I've talked about many times before, I lost my mom about a year and a half ago, and hummingbirds were like, as she was more advanced in her illness and more limited in her ability to do things, she used to love to watch hummingbirds. And so we had a hummingbird feeder at our house that was right outside of it, a window and a chair that she used to sit in. She had a bird feeder at her house, and she would sit for long periods of time and watch these hummingbirds. And so even on the day she died, a hummingbird kind of followed me around later on that afternoon when I was with my dad. And the day I came home, it was winter here, and there was a hummingbird. And this week on vacation, we were at the beach, and the house across the street had a palm tree that was kind of at the same height as our deck. And I would sit out, and every morning when I was drinking my coffee, and that extra hour I had from keeping my sleep cycle the same, there was a hummingbird there. And it just really helped me to reset and realize this world is a big place. This universe is a big place, and there's a lot of beauty in it. And it's really nice to remember that we belong to something so much larger than just our small day to day, and that we contribute to that beauty that is so much larger than just what we may see the immediate impact of. So I wish um, you all just a great off the grid week, and enjoyment in your next adventure. And those are kind of my top 5 pointers for everything that we like to talk about right now. So I did a little extra zone 2 work this week, and I feel great. I ate some fun foods with some wonderful people, and I'm not feeling guilty about it. I kept my sleep cycle pretty consistent, which really helped me have some extra time to relax and refresh. I connected with friends, and I said yes a few times this week when I wasn't sure I wanted to at first, and I'm so glad I did. I have created memories that I will take with me forever. And I connected with the part of me that belongs to something bigger. And for me, that is finding hummingbirds in nature. And I had one with me all week. And so I knew my mom was there with me watching over me. And so I wish you all the best week. And we're going to get back to some more hard science and have some great guests lined up for you. But for now, that's my off the grid. And I wish you all well. Take care.
Hello, it's Time Community. This is Linsly here, and I think you may have already heard from Jen that we took a different approach to this episode. Not only could we not be in the same town, but we found with our travel schedules, we couldn't even be in the same moment to record together. So we loved having a chance to share thoughts and trade thoughts in this context. And I'm going to jump right in, pretty quick summary of the 5 kind of lessons learned or iterations on our 5 pillars in kind of 2025. The first one for us always is movement. And there have been 2 kind of key learnings for me in the movement sector. One is I just was diagnosed with osteoarthritis, pretty severe in my left hip, which nobody ever thinks they're going to be diagnosed with anything. But with that, I was like, what? I've been doing all of this stuff, all of this weightlifting, all of this BFR training, all of the things. And here I am at 55 with this pretty advanced case of arthritis. But the good news of the discovery was I learned that everything we have been absorbing and sharing out continues in this context as well, which is the best thing I can continue to do is what I've been doing, and it's to move and to keep moving, so to not shy away from it. And at some point in time, there's definitely going to be some steroid shots in my future and then a hip replacement in my future. But the doctors was put it in such a great way. He said, you could either reach this point and be 20 pounds heavier and still have this pain and be trying to navigate it with movement, or be where you are now and just know that this is your genetics and you're doing what you can to build around it. So, it was a reminder that you can't control everything in your domain, but the fundamentals continue to be the fundamentals. Of course, I was throwing at him all my emerging technology, modality ideas, and supplements. And he repeated what we hear and always share out, and that is that the basics are 95% of the solution. So moving and staying in motion and nourishing well and sleeping and recovering, they're the same set of things no matter what. And then the second thing that I've found I'm getting a ton of joy out of and benefit out of has been micro movements. So all the exercise snacks, and especially like micro dancing, jumping around and doing a little mini dance party. So, continue to do the resistance training and the lifting. And I'm exploring a new program that I'll read out on when I finish it for the 12 weeks that I committed to it. That's really around some pretty differential heavy lifting. But in the interim, in addition, I'm getting a lot of joy out of the exercise snacks. So keeping our mindset in the world of prototyping and the prototyping habit on the movement pillar, just two great learnings on how to keep iterating on that same basic concept of movement is medicine. Okay, the second pillar for us, recovery and sleep. With all the travel that we've both been doing, I think one of the things Jen and I have both noticed is being consistent on your sleep wherever you are on the road, as well as wherever you are in terms of vacation and late nights, can be really mission critical. And one thing I've learned tactically for me to keep sleep consistency happening, in addition to my cool sleep mask, is noise, white noise. And so I do a lot of white noise wherever I'm traveling at home. And I have white noise going on, and then I have the same white noise when I'm on the road. And I find that it makes it much easier for me to get consistent falling asleep time, quality of sleep, and waking up time. And there's just been some new science out around the benefit of mitigating sound while you're sleeping and keeping you in a much deeper sleep than if you don't mitigate sound. So anyway, that is my learning on the sleep front. On the nourishment front, we've been, all of us, try to get more and more protein and getting really mindful about doing that before we work out and after we work out. But I think the learning that I have had is that there's only so much volume of food I can comfortably ingest and digest. And so, listening to your body, and, even if the target is supposedly 120 grams of protein, if you're not feeling good, or as you've tried to work that into your cadence and your rhythm, it's got to be okay to dial it back. So for me, that's meant I focus that protein hit around the workout timings, pre and post, as mission critical. And if I can't get all my protein grams in, end of the day, that's okay. I got it in the time period that got the highest impact of that protein. So giving yourself some grace and some give on some of your nourishment guidelines as you're starting to feel your way through what's true for you, because we're all different, and you do know what's true for you. So that's my thought on the nourishment front. On the community pillar, I am finding great joy out of staying connected and embracing our digital tools for it, because I've been a little bit back and forth with different family commitments and trips to visit my mom unexpectedly. I haven't been able to be as physically present with my community and my friends. Not that I ever really took it for granted, but especially living in a mountain town, it was pretty easy to get out in a mountain and see each other on a regular basis. And this first part of 2025, it's just been much tougher. And I have really felt grateful for the upside of the technology tools that obviously have a lot of challenges and downsides that we all know about. But have embraced FaceTimes and audio messages where I could hear my friends' voices and just staying connected. I felt super grateful for this kind of technology and the ability to do it and think about it at least twice a day about who I wanted to reach out to and have a touch point with, and feel grateful that I could make that one happen. And I think lastly, on the idea of the beyond, Jen and I kind of frame it that way, that there's a greater energy than ourselves, and being connected to that greater energy. I think 2025 has presented a lot of challenges in understanding the arc of time and the trust of that greater energy. And I have found great compassion and, again, grace in just committing to that concept of it is a long arc of time. And I've been going back to a couple of different key points in history and understanding, two steps forward, one step back, that even if we might be in a moment that feels like one step back for some of us on values or things that we prioritize, over the, again, the arc of time is expansive and positive, and reconnecting with that has felt really soothing and energizing, as well as giving some patience to, taking a small step every day towards the end goal that I'm prioritizing on a value spectrum. So on that beyond idea, it can be everything from just being outside and connecting to nature, to be reminded that there's a much bigger canvas at play than what I'm in the middle of, or um, practicing the art of what I sometimes call purposing, which is purpose is a active verb, something that you're iterating on all the time. And connecting to purpose can be small micro purposes, like having made someone's day significantly better. And it can be the macro purposes, like trying to advance um, the positivity and humanity, or whatever it is that you might connect to on a macro purpose level. But all that to say that I have found in 2025 that I'm putting different tools to work to feel the kind of ongoing connection point to that energy that's greater than me. So those are my 5 quick adjustments, refilters on our 5 pillars as we've moved through 2025. And I can't wait for our next episode where we get to join you together. But until then, I hope this has shared a few new ideas, and really hopefully it's an invitation for you to take a pause and reflect on what are some of the iterations you're finding as you're going through your wellness and health journey. Because again, we are the architects of our own lives, and having that prototyping habit by definition is test, learn, iterate, double down on some, and shed others. So I'm excited to invite you to do the same. Until next week, it's time.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us here today. If you liked what you heard and you got some tips on how to live better right now and for the long haul, please help us reach more midlife women. Please share and rate and like this show, and we can't wait to continue the dialogue with you on our next episode. Until then, thank you. It's time.